At some point, these companies got to be held accountable, or they just got to stop making hookless because this stuff is getting out of control. It seems here that on the tour of UAE, just recently, we had another rider have an incident where his tire blew off while riding. No mishaps, no reported hitting a pothole. They can't really figure out what causes blow off to happen, other than the tire, the rim that he's riding on is hookless. But the team is saying that they were 100% within the rules of riding the hookless wheels configuration for tire spec and everything like that. So I've made a ton of videos on hookless wheels, and you all know my stance on hookless wheels. I believe that it is more of just a cash grab for these manufacturers to go ahead and make these wheels for a cheaper production rate, and I believe that it has no added benefit to consumers. Me being in a bicycle shop, and ever since hookless has come out for road at least, I have had countless, if not hundreds of times where just random blow-offs have happened at customers' houses, random blow-offs have happened inside of our store with just manufacturer wheels that have been put on there. Some of my friends who riding road hookless on the road have called me up just saying, hey, they got off their bicycle after riding on the tarmac or on the asphalt, and at their turnaround point, it just popped off. So I have had experiences, and ever since I had the YouTube channel on Instagram, I can't imagine, you guys can, if I made a video for every single one of these instances of someone DMing me saying that they have multiple experiences with Zip 353s blowing off, or multiple experiences with other companies' hookless wheels blowing off, it happens almost every other week with me that I get a DM saying, yeah, I don't know what's going on. So this is a big concern, and people might, I'm going to hear it all in the comments, and we're going to hear it for a long time. People are going to say, I run hookless, I haven't had an issue with it. That's not the point. Whenever there's recalls to go about, whenever a big incident goes about, we'll just say Shimano's recall, Specialized steer, head tube area recall, not everyone's crank was broken during that Shimano recall. There was a good amount, but not everyone's crank was broken. Same with Specialized steer recall, where the fork snapped off on the steer. Not everyone's fork was breaking, but enough happened to a point where it got scary. Same thing here. This is just being brought up, and I've done multiple videos on the Pro Peloton before of riders while riding the Pro Peloton have had their tires blow off of their Zips or Envies or whatever the case might be, running different tire configurations as well, from Vittoria to Continental. It doesn't matter the case. And that's just the Pro Peloton. And then you couldn't imagine how many actual real world experiences I see with consumers that I get this instance with. So it's mind blowing to me. I'm not saying that hookless doesn't work. Hookless works really well on mountain bikes because it's a much wider internal rim width channel, a much wider tire on there, a much lower air volume, and much lower air pressure. Same with gravel. I think it works really well on there too. We use it in car technologies. We use it in airplanes. But in those matters, they're not trying to go after a stupid lightweight road bike, and they're not trying to configure and save as much weight as possible. There's too many bad tolerances with tires. There's too many bad tolerances with rims, that you might have a tire that goes on very easy onto a rim, and then you might have a tire that goes on very tight to go on a rim. There's too many gray areas there that it's not perfect on there. People go, oh, my car has hookless wheels. That car tire alone will stand up by itself, and it's a massively heavy tire, and it has a massive wire bead on there, and that will hold onto a wheel really well. That's what it's designed to do. Whereas this is a lightweight road bike that we have grown men complaining about weight of wheels and weight of tires, so they want it to be absolutely the most minimal they can get it to, trying to pump it up to like an 80, 60, 70 psi on such a skinny rim width channel on there, and it's a recipe for disaster, bombing down a hill at 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, whatever it might be. It just, in this platform, I don't think it works. I don't think it works. I do not think it works. That's just my case. I think that these companies like Zip and Envy that really have a stronghold, you got the three big brands, I think, in the manufacturer. You got Zip, Envy, and Cadex, which is giant as well. They're all hookless on there, and they really push hookless really well. But they really need to take a step back and rethink this, I think, for road cycling especially. We used to sell a ton of those brands, not Cadex, but Zip and Envy in our store until really Princeton came along later on down the road, mainly just because of the fact that they gave them still the hooked option. The hookless stuff, people are still some people who don't have it are still kind of iffy to go to it. And I'm sure that this gentleman who took the spill on this road bike now, it's going to be in the back of his head. And it's going to, haunt him a little bit when riding or descending down a mountain. He might not have the most trust in his equipment, and that's definitely the worst case scenario. So in this instance, I like to talk about this. For the Zip 353, I believe they have an internal rim width of 23 or 25. Let me check. Yeah, so this Zip 353 has an internal rim width of 25 millimeters on there. The Vittoria Corsa Pro tire right here is a 700 by 28C, and it is compatible on Zip's hookless chart to go ahead and be compatible with this wheel on there. So the Team Lotto is definitely in the realm of being perfect with compatibility on there. They also add the Vittoria liner on here because this says that it's supposed to help cement these two together better and make sure that you don't have any blow-offs like that, so you don't burp the tire out. So if you hit a bump in the road and that wheel hits it, it's not going to push pressure out the other side. That liner is meant to go ahead and take some brunt of that impact and distribute that more evenly. So they did everything on their end to go ahead and fix it. There were some speculation, people saying that they could have pumped up the tires early in the morning when it was a little bit cooler out, and then when they were riding, that got a little bit hotter. And the max pressure on these wheels, I believe, is like 73 PSI. But you got to think when they're building these wheels that that's not the limit right there. There's engineers are incorporating a safety point after that where it can go up to an extra higher PSI for those instances where you hit a pothole, or let's say the end consumer pumps up to 73 PSI. Yes, that's their max tire PSI, but if that's a chance, if you run a max tire PSI and you hit a pothole and the chances of it blowing off are huge, I think that's a pretty crappy design. So I don't see that being the issue for them to run at 70 PSI and him riding on the hot roads could cause it to blow off. That's a crappy wheel design. I mean, who would want that? Don't ride your wheel for too long on hot roads because it can blow off. No one would want that. People are also saying at the current study of, I did a video on this a little bit ago, ETRTO, which handles like tests and like it's pretty much held to a standard of what the minimum maximum tire widths are for auto industry, bicycles, everything like that. And recently they came out basically saying that 29 should be the thinnest minimum tire clearance you can put on there for a hookless wheel. Even though all these companies like Envy and Zip and everyone else who's hookless are still saying that 28s are compatible. That was their recommendation, saying that 29 should be the thinnest on there. But still, 28s are still being ran on hookless to this day, and they come stock from factory like that. So I don't think that's the issue as well, because there are other people out there who are having those exact same wheels, and they don't have those issues at all. And really what I think it comes down to is I think that the manufacturers are benefiting from hookless the most. It's cheaper to make. It's a much easier process to make this carbon fiber rim. You don't have to worry about at the top of the rim where you have this crimp right here to go ahead and put a bead or a hook on the rim itself. When you just make a straight profile hookless wheel up, it's cheaper to make, and they say that it's more durable and that it's going to be a lighter weight, but that's not the case at all. These wheels right here, the Zip 353s, they're a light wheel, yes, but there are companies out there that are doing it with hooks on them that are lighter. The new Black Inks 4858, I was surprised to hear that these things are, one, they have a micro hook on here, which is amazing. They are a 23 millimeter internal width, which everyone likes. And the weight of these wheels is 1,250 grams. Much lighter than these Zip 353 wheels, okay? You have the Princeton Wake 6560, Peak 4550. Princeton has come out and said multiple times that we're always going to have a hooked bead or a hooked rim, and that's better for the consumer. There are new Peak 4550 Evolution wheels. I just did a video on, were 1,280 grams for the set. Stupid lightweight with a deeper dish wheel than the Zip 353, and also the Craftworks as well. 1,290 grams for a 50 front, 60 rear wheel. Mind-blowing. So anything to sit there and say that they can make a hookless wheel lighter, all three of these wheels have a hook on them, and they are lighter than what the hookless wheels are out there right now today. I think they're even lighter than majority of the wheels out there on the market. I really just think at the end of the day, it's coming down to they're pushing the agenda on the industry. It's better for them to manufacture these wheels hookless because it's an easier process and it's cheaper for them to do, which in result is they'll continue to do so. I think that Zip and Envy and even KDX should maybe take a long look into each other, think about it, and maybe go back to a hook design, because at a road wheel, I don't see the benefit to any consumer on that. You can run On a hooked wheel compared to a hookless wheel, you can run the exact same tire width, the exact same tire pressure, and tubeless on there with little or no loss to the consumer. That's it. I mean, I don't see any benefit to being hookless on there. Hookless for mountain bike and gravel makes sense. That's fine to me. It works really well. Wider channels, wider tires, lower air PSI, but something at such a high pressure and such a narrow air volume chamber and such high speeds, and the tires having to be so lightweight, and the inconsistency in tolerances. I've done videos plenty of times where I showed literally two exact same tires and been 20 grams difference. I mean, that's a crazy difference in tolerances. It's so hard to perfect. I don't see it being there. Unless you put a massive wire bead in these things, not a foldable tire, a massive wire circular bead, and the tire holds its shape by itself, then maybe that'll work for hookless wheels. But as of right now, it doesn't make any sense to me. Let me know what you guys think. I wouldn't want to ride hookless if I was on a pro peloton. I know top teams, obviously, Pogacar runs them. A lot of people are running Envy and Zip wheels on there. And this is just one instance out of there. But like I said, a recall does not involve every single one failing. It's just more than enough to kind of get eye-opening out there. But I don't know if there's anyone to put these massive juggernauts in check to go ahead and force them out of that hookless market. So who knows? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But definitely, I feel horrible for the rider who took the spill. And mentally, he's probably going to be thinking about when he's descending down a mountain or high-end speeds now to go ahead and have to recover and get that out of his mind. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, thank you again so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video.